Hey everyone, so in this video I'm going to walk you through the Just Walk On By Charting the Text Organizer. This assignment is in Google Classroom, so there's a blank copy of this chart. You have a copy of the text, and I'm also going to open this copy of the rhetorically active verbs that I have posted up in my room, because we're going to need these to answer the second part of the chart. So this assignment takes us through the whole text and asks us in each section, what is the author saying, first of all, which goes in this column, and we summarize what the author says in that paragraph. And then the second part of the assignment asks us, what is the author doing in these paragraphs? And in this column, that's where we're going to use a rhetorically active verb. So let's start just by looking at paragraphs 1 and 2. You've already read the text thoroughly. So you know in the first paragraph, Staples starts out by explaining a personal experience that happened to him when he was in Chicago. And he's in Chicago. He's a new grad student. He just started at the University of Chicago. And he finds himself walking behind this woman who is picking up her pace, walking faster, and carrying her bag like a bandolier. And he talks about how this experience happened when he was 22 years old. And it was really the first time he experienced the fact that he can alter public space in ugly ways. He talks about how he believes the woman views him as a mugger, a rapist, or even worse. So we need to summarize here, and you can use bullet points if you want, or you can just type straight into it, whatever works for you. But we need to summarize a couple of his main points. So I'm going to say Staples is a young 22-year-old graduate student at University of Chicago. I'm also going to say he is walking down the street and a woman in front of him believes him to be suspicious. By the way she is walking. And then we'll say this is the first time he experienced this. Okay, so that's a pretty solid summary for what's happening in paragraphs 1 and 2. Now, for the second column, we're going to use a rhetorically active verb. So if we look down here, Staples is advocating, analyzing, generalizing. Is he highlighting, identifying, illustrating? What is he doing here? Oh, illustrating looks like a good one to me, because he really paints this picture of the woman in front of him and how she's walking and trying to get out of his space. So I'm going to say illustrates the personal experience that happened when he was 22. And a woman was afraid of him. Okay, so illustrates is the rhetorical verb that I'm going to use there. And remember, we only need to use rhetorical verbs in column 2. I'm trying to highlight this. Here we go. All right, so each section in column 2 is going to start with a rhetorical verb. Let's do paragraphs 3 and 4, and then I'm leaving you on your own. So paragraph 3, her flight made me feel like an accomplice in tyranny. It also made it clear that I was indistinguishable from the muggers who occasionally seeped into the area from the surrounding ghetto. Where fear and weapons meet, and they often do in urban America, there's always the possibility of death. And then he talks about how he would be walking in his first year away from his hometown, and he would hear drivers on the street locking their car door, whether they were black, white, male, or female. And he especially knew that on less traveled streets after dark, he was accustomed to people crossing to the other side of the street rather than pass him. Okay, so both of these paragraphs have to do with his interactions or rather even lack of interactions on the street. So we'll say, let's see, how can we summarize paragraph 3? Okay, so it was dangerous for Staples to be on the street because, excuse me, of how others perceived him. And then I also want to say for paragraph 4, I mean, I think he really makes a point of the drivers locking the doors. So drivers would lock doors when he was around, whether they were black, white, male, or female themselves. This is another great illustration, but I'm wondering if we can pick another rhetorically active verb here. Observes means to see, right? Provides, supports, establishes, depicts, demonstrates. We could even say he creates a mental picture for us as to what happens when he's on the street. So I'm going to say creates a mental picture for us as to what happens when Staples is alone on the street in Chicago. Okay? So our rhetorical verb in that column is creates. And I'm going to highlight that one. It would be great if you could highlight your rhetorical verbs as well. I'm going to stop this video here because I want to see what you can do. You only have 5 boxes to do on your own. So you can take what I've done in sections 1 through 4, but I would really like to see your own work beginning in paragraph 5, where he talks about moving to New York 2 years ago. All right, good luck. Email me if you have any questions.